To everyone reading this, thank you for giving your time and trusting me to share this story with you. I know your attention is valuable, and I promise this tale is worth every moment. The night was alive with laughter and clinking glasses, yet an icy knot had lodged itself in my chest the moment I stepped into the grand hall. People milled about in sparkling dresses and sharp suits, conversations weaving like delicate threads, yet I felt an immediate chill. She was there, my wife, in the center of a cluster of people I didn't recognize. Her hand rested lightly on the shoulder of a man whose smile was far too easy, far too familiar. I tried to approach her, to offer a polite smile, a soft joke, anything to reconnect, but before I could take a single step closer, she turned her head sharply and said, "Don't stand near me." The words fell like a hammer, echoing louder than the music, heavier than any stone I had ever lifted. I froze, my thoughts colliding with disbelief. Did she just say that? I whispered to myself, my pulse hammering in my ears. Before I could speak, a woman, one I hadn't seen before, appeared at my wife's side, her hand extended and her eyes warm. "Come sit with me," she said. And just like that, my wife moved, laughing lightly at something I couldn't hear, leaving me rooted to the spot, tasting bile and confusion. The conversation that should have been ours had evaporated, replaced by a world I didn't belong to. I wandered through the crowd, trying to rationalize, trying to tell myself that I was overreacting, that maybe it was stress, or maybe the alcohol, or maybe she simply didn't feel like talking to me that night. But deep down, a small, insistent voice whispered the truth I refused to face. Something had changed between us, and I was too blind to notice. The party continued around me, a blur of champagne bubbles and laughter, while my mind replayed every conversation we had in the last month. Her late nights at the office, the sudden secrecy of her phone, the way she flinched when I asked simple questions about her day. Each small detail, innocent on its own, now stacked together like building blocks of a looming disaster. Later, I found her in the corner of the balcony, laughing with the same woman from before, their heads bent together, sharing a private joke that didn't include me. The sight ignited something in my chest, hurt, betrayal, disbelief. I wanted to storm out, to confront her, but a strange part of me wanted to linger, to observe, to see if my suspicions were true before tearing everything apart. The night drew on, conversations blending into one another, until a whispered comment floated to my ears. "I didn't think he'd notice," the woman said, her words playful but sharp, cutting through the laughter like glass. I froze, realizing that the joke, the laughter, the whispered secrets, they were about me, about us. I returned home that night, silence pressing against me from all sides. The house felt alien, the rooms unfamiliar. She was in the living room, curled on the couch, scrolling on her phone as though nothing had happened. I wanted to yell, to demand answers, but I swallowed the rage, trying instead to gather the courage to speak calmly. "Who was that woman at the party?" I asked, my voice steady but quiet, as though I feared shattering something fragile. She looked up, eyes wide with surprise, but not the kind that comes from innocence. It was practiced, rehearsed. "Oh, just someone I work with," she said lightly. "You know how it is, networking, mingling." The casual tone, meant to reassure, only made my chest tighten further. I nodded, forcing a smile, but the seed of doubt had taken root. In the following days, I began noticing the subtle patterns. The calls she answered in hushed tones, the sudden business trips that cropped up without warning, the little lies that never quite added up. Each discovery was like a chisel, slowly carving away at the foundation of trust one had built my life upon. My heart oscillated between denial and the cold edge of reality, the memories of her words at the party replaying incessantly. "Don't stand near me." It wasn't until a week later, when I followed a vague hunch to a cafe across town, that the final pieces fell into place. She was there, her hand brushing against another man's as they laughed softly over coffee. The intimacy was subtle but undeniable, a betrayal cloaked in ordinary gestures, and the sight felt like an explosion behind my eyes. My legs trembled, my vision blurred, but I could not look away. Returning home, I confronted her in the kitchen, where the fluorescent light made the shadows longer, harsher. "I saw you," I said, my voice breaking, a mixture of rage and sorrow. I saw you with him. All of it. Her face fell, a mask slipping, and for the first time in months, I saw the truth reflected there. Guilt. Regret. But also relief, as though a heavy secret had finally been released. I didn't mean for you to find out like this, she whispered, voice small, fragile. But the words felt hollow, insufficient against the wave of heartbreak crashing over me. How long? I demanded, my fists gripping the counter so tightly I thought I might break the granite beneath. How long have you been lying to me? She paused, eyes downcast, voice barely audible. It started a few months ago. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to tell you. Each word struck like a knife, carving open wounds I had tried so desperately to ignore. The realization of her betrayal, the magnitude of deception, crashed over me in a wave of grief and anger. I stepped back, shaking, my mind racing for answers, for reasons, for anything that might make sense of the devastation. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away, tears blurring my vision. I can't, I said, voice hollow, a whisper lost in the emptiness of our kitchen. I can't forgive this. In the days that followed, the house became a silent battlefield. We spoke only when necessary, each word loaded with the weight of unspoken pain. I found solace in solitude, in the quiet corners of our home, letting myself feel the heartbreak fully, without apology. I grieved the person I thought I knew, the life I thought we had, and the love that had been quietly eroded beneath my eyes. Months later, the memory of that night at the party lingered, sharp and jagged, a reminder that some truths could not be softened or ignored. I learned that betrayal often comes not with a crash, but with a whisper, a smile, a casual gesture that slowly unravels everything. I learned that love can endure many things, but trust, once shattered, leaves a scar that never fully heals. And sometimes the most painful part is not the act itself, but the realization that the person you loved most was never entirely yours.